53rd Circuit Court for the County of Presqu'île, again providing public access online and in the courtroom. And Mr. Gilbert, you ready with a sentencing for who?
Miss Day, Your Honor.
All right, this is People versus Lisa Day, file 22-93211FH. I did receive an amended information from the prosecutor. Do you accept, have any objection to that being filed?
None, Your Honor. Thank you.
And we're here for sentencing on charge of attempted fleeing and eluding in the third degree, 2.5-year felony, and reckless driving, a 93-day misdemeanor. You had a chance to review the report and recommendations?
I've reviewed the report and recommendation, Your Honor.
Okay, any additions or corrections?
None.
The advisory guidelines are at 0 to 9. Any scoring challenges?
None, Your Honor.
Mr. Radsabon, any additions or corrections or scoring challenges?
No additions or corrections, no scoring.
Okay. Mr. Gilbert, go ahead with the allocution.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Day, and as the court can see, is having a tough time with the recommendation. I do know that, and the court probably doesn't remember or looks in the file, Miss Day is an individual that I did ask for a forensic on. I had a lot of concerns throughout the course of this case that she does have mental health issues. I know she does have a list of prescriptions, and talking to her just now, I guess there's been some prescriptions she hasn't been able to get refilled, and she's having some serious issues with that. There is a mental health issue, a component to this case, and I believe that's really what happened in the evening that this happened, was that she was having an episode, and which resulted in her fleeing and eluding the police officers. I don't believe if Miss Day would have been in her right mind at that time that it would have happened. She does have a history of issues with her prescriptions. I would ask the court to consider possibly a length of probation. I'm not really sure how much the incarceration would help or deter in a situation where it was a little bit probably beyond her control due to her mental health issues. So I'd ask the court to take that into consideration and consider possibly no jail. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Ms. Day, it's not required that you would make a statement. It is allowed. Is there anything you wish to say or no?
I apologize, and like I said, I don't know what happened. My mind wasn't processing what was going on at the time, and I just can't believe that I did something like this, because it's totally out of my character. And I don't feel that I can continue my treatment if I'm incarcerated. And I need to continue my treatment because it's vital to my mental health.
All right, thank you. Mr. Radspawn, recommendations from the people?
I'm totally in agreement with the recommendation of 9 months in jail. I can't state enough how much of a risk and danger this day presented, not only to the officers involved, but to the public. To drive at that type of speed, running 3 officers off the road in order to avoid a collision, blowing through the intersection of M68 and 23 at a high rate of speed. Thankfully, Deputy Woodsford essentially sacrificed himself in his car to get her somewhat off the road before she went running down in the middle of town, and we had another incident in town. We just had a fatality out in that area maybe a couple of months ago. It's a dangerous intersection, Judge, and for her to do what she did, regardless of mental issues or not, she deserves some incarceration. And I really believe that 9 months is appropriate. And insofar as her getting mental health treatment, I'm sure it can be arranged in Northeast Michigan Community Mental Health while she's in jail to take the treatment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, Ms. Day, you're here for sentencing. It is your first felony. The guidelines are 0 to 9. You did receive some benefits from the plea bargaining process to have it be a lesser felony, but this is a case where then, police are responding to your behavior and, causing a risk to the public, dancing in the roadway and then driving fast. and then you don't stop for police, you're at over 100 miles an hour. Running vehicles off the roadway, not only law enforcement, but just ordinary folks. I mean, from a case I had earlier today, where appropriate, if there's a way to divert to the mental health system that can work sometimes. And in that case, it was a resisting arrest that wasn't super active resisting, and there wasn't really a great degree of risk to the officers, let alone the public. In this case, this is a case of extreme risk to the public and to those law enforcement officers. I agree with the statement in the report. It's fortunate that nobody was killed. And Ms. Day compounds the mental health with the substance abuse problems as well. I think that extreme risk to the public from this situation does warrant some incarceration. And given the total circumstances, I am going to adopt that recommendation and order that Ms. Day serve 9 months in the Prescott County Jail with credit for 4 days previously served, 93 days on the misdemeanor count, again, credit for 4 days, state costs of $118 and the crime victims assessment of $130. And Ms. Day can file an appeal if she wishes by filing an application. I think she's in no state to deal with that now. We'll get that paperwork.
You guys don't know nothing about mental health.
All right, good morning. We're back on the record and calling next. People be Jonathan Zomberg. It's filed 25-6987FH. Counsel, please state your appearances.
Melissa Goodrich, Blaine County Prosecutor. Liz Elliott on behalf of the defendant, Jonathan Zomberg, who sits to my right.
All right, good morning. And we're here for sentencing on a possession of methamphetamine case, but then we also have to arraign Mr. Zomberg. It looks like he was picked up on a bench warrant that I had signed after his plea. So Mr. Zomberg, it's alleged that you are in contempt of court for violating the conditions of your bond by testing positive for cocaine on April 28th of this year. You have the right to have a hearing on that allegation where your contempt would need to be proven. Am I boring you?
I'm so sorry. I was just going to cover the interview.
Okay. Look like this matters to you.
Yes, it does, sir.
Okay. All right, you have the right to have a hearing where your contempt would need to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to the assistance of your lawyer at that hearing. If you are found to be in contempt, you could be jailed up to 93 days and or fined up to $7,500. You can present testimony at that hearing, present witnesses. You can question witnesses presented against you. Do you understand the rights that you have and the penalties that you can face?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Elliott, do you know how he wishes to proceed on that contempt?
He wishes to plead guilty, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Zomberg, would you please stand and as best you can raise your right hand for me?
Yes,
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Okay, you can be seated. Mr. Zomberg, has anybody promised you anything in exchange for your admission to contempt?
No, Your Honor.
Has anybody threatened you?
No, Your Honor.
Is it your own free choice to enter that plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you wish to plead to contempt then, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
So as part of your bond, you knew you were not to use or possess controlled substances, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And while you were on bond, did you use and therefore test positive for cocaine?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Elliott, you satisfied with that factual basis?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Goodrich?
Yes,
And Ms. Elliott, are you aware of any promises, threats, or inducements for that plea?
I'm not.
Ms. Goodrich?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Zomberg, I find that your plea is knowingly, understandingly, and voluntarily made, and that there is a sufficient basis in fact and law to believe you're in contempt of court, so I do so find. So we should probably go forward then with the sentencing on the underlying case, and then as we do that, I would want to hear from both sides about what the contempt sanction ought to be as well then. So Ms. Elliott, have you had a chance to review the pre-sentence report and recommendation with your client?
I have, Your Honor.
Do you have any additions or corrections to the factual information in that report?
Only as to the pending charges, there was a failure to appear warrant out of Kent County on page 1. Mr. Zomberg reports that he did take care of that. He had Zoom court with Kent County. The only thing he needs to do for them is to complete some community service, which they're arranging for him to do mid-June.
Okay, and so Agent Fagan, I do see on that report, it does say Attorney Amber Libby. It was at the time of the plea, but there's been a change. Can you make the change of the attorney? And as you're doing that, maybe just confirm that warrant status and
Yes.
update that. Okay. Any other changes to the information in the report?
No, Your Honor.
The advisory guidelines were scored at 0 to 9 months. Any scoring challenges?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Goodrich, any additions, corrections, or scoring challenges from the people?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Elliott, anything you want to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Your Honor, Mr. Zomberg comes before you today at 24 years old with limited low severity misdemeanor criminal history. The plea agreement here includes a sentence agreement between the parties for a 7411 disposition, which is supported by Agent Fagan's recommendation in the PSI. It's our position, Your Honor, that Mr. Zomberg is still a good candidate despite that bond violation for community supervision with a final disposition of 7411 for the following reasons. Number one, Mr. Zomberg's been on bond since November 25th of 2024. He's only had one misstep along the way, and that was the violation he just pled guilty to. Mr. Zomberg was over 5 months sober when that violation took place, and that was without the benefit of any substance abuse counseling or any other intervention on his part to address his substance abuse issues. Mr. Zomberg's a valued employee at Pat and Gary's 2, and he is working full time there. His employers are counting on him to come back with the busy season coming up here soon. Mr. Zomberg does have stable housing close to his work with his stepfather, who plays a positive role in his life. His mother and sister are both in the courtroom to support him as well. Jonathan's steady employment and his sobriety have allowed him to continue to make child support payments and to financially support his minor children, which is also helpful and makes him a productive member of society and is a good indicator that he would be good for community supervision. Jonathan has expressed remorse for both the sentencing offense, Your Honor, and the misstep that he had while he was on bond. And he's asking the court to give him a chance to prove himself worthy of that 7411 disposition and to follow the recommendation contained in the PSI. And we'd be asking for, in terms of the contempt, that he be given credit for time served. He's been in the jail since Saturday. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Zomberg, you don't have to tell me anything today, but you are allowed to. Is there anything you want to say, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. First off, I want to apologize for
Go ahead and stand up.
Yes, Your Honor. First, I want to apologize for coming here looking like I just didn't nice marriage failed to me. I want to show remorse for my mishap. This was just a very
Mishap is tripping over a sidewalk.
I'm just very remorseful. I was doing so good. I've been building a lot of momentum up here. I have a job instilled in the community. I came up here for a better life, and it has did that. And I don't want this to ruin my opportunity, my momentum that I had going out here. I have a job that I've been building well within the community. I know the summertime is a very busy season. There's a lot of opportunity out here to build connections and keep on my momentum up here with my family and everything like that. And I just want a chance to prove that I am still on the right path and that I was doing so well. And I am very sorry, Judge.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Goodrich, any recommendations from the people?
Yes, Your Honor. Within a short time of moving up here from the Grand Rapids area, he did have police involvement. This case involved possession, original charges of various substances. He pled to the possession of methamphetamine. We had a sentencing agreement for 7411. Since that time, he's had post-plea violation, which he just pled to, of positive of cocaine. It was telling in the PSI when reading his interview that he admitted to the use of several substances, but does not admit to substance abuse, having a substance abuse issue. So it's not surprising that he didn't seek out services to address his substance abuse issue. For that reason, I do not think he would be likely successful on probation. I would just be asking for a jail sentence with no probation. He has a 0 to 9 sentencing guideline. This is his first felony, so I would ask for 6 months jail. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zomberg. Please stand for the court sentence. All right, Mr. Zomberg, you're 24, you have no prior felonies. We were down in Grand Rapids. You had some court cases down there as a juvenile. And then also as an adult. Could counsel approach? About a year ago, you had a conviction down in Grand Rapids in the district court for use of controlled substance. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And under the statute, that would mean that you have a prior conviction under the public health code. You're ineligible for 7411 probation by law. Because of your post-plea contempt, you've lost the right to withdraw the plea if I don't give you the 7411. And in reviewing it with counsel, it looks like there were other inducements beyond the 7411 sentencing agreement in the dismissal of another felony count as well as 2 other misdemeanor counts. So Ms. Elliott is the defense seeking any opportunity to withdraw the plea based on any illusory nature of the plea bargain?
No, Your Honor, I would agree with the court that Mr. Zomberg did get the benefit of that plea agreement, although the 7411 isn't a disposition available to him.
Okay. All right. So Mr. Zomberg, excuse me. And I'm not sure I would have given you the 7411 anyway with the positive cocaine, but I don't have to make that decision right now because I can't give you that. So I am going to place you on probation for 12 months as recommended in the pre-sentence report. That'll be subject to the terms and conditions listed in that report on pages 2 and 3. They include getting a substance abuse assessment and completing treatment. They include maintaining full-time employment. It includes a crime victims assessment of $130, a state cost of $68, complying with DNA testing with a $60 fee, court costs of $350, and there's a monthly supervision fee to the Department of Corrections. So you moved up here from Grand Rapids, and your family, it sounds like, is concerned about your substance use. And they were trying to kind of intervene with that, and that went sideways. And that's how this case ended up coming into court, including some assaultive allegations. I know those were dismissed, and one of them I dismissed on a motion to quash. But clearly, your family was looking to help you, and you were looking to not be helped. Okay. Now you're on probation with me on a felony where jail is certainly a possibility. Even this is a 10-year felony. So if you go out and go wild on probation, you could conceivably end up going to prison in this case. Okay? That's nothing I'd want to see happen, but you could make that happen. So if you want, a better life, I agree with the prosecutor. I'm troubled by some statements you make that I don't really have a problem. That seems consistent with your response to your family. They're saying, hey, Jonathan, you need some help. You're like, leave me alone. You go see a probation agent preparing a report after you pled guilty to felony possession of methamphetamine. I don't really have a problem. If you continue with that approach, you're not going to do well in probation. I agree with the prosecutor, but I think you deserve the chance to turn it around. So we're going to give you that opportunity, place you on a probationary term. I'm going to order that you serve 8 days in the Sheboygan County Jail and give you credit for 8 days previously served. And on the contempt citation, I'm going to order that you complete 2 days on the Sheboygan Sheriff's Department work crew detail. Okay, so this is every Tuesday and Thursday, they do community service, where then you got to report to the Sheriff's Department. You got to pay, I think, a $10 or $20 fee to participate. And then they drive you around and you do what they tell you to do to help people in the community. Okay.
Mhm.
You are eligible to petition for early discharge from probation at the halfway point if you've completed everything that you've been told to do. We're going to hand you a piece of paper explaining that process. Also, if you wish to appeal your conviction or my sentence or both, you'd have to file an application for appeal to the Court of Appeals. If you needed an attorney, you could petition for one, but you'd have to make that request within 6 months of today's date. So we're going to hand you another piece of paper about those appeal rights, ask you to initial one copy for us. The other one is for you to fill out if you want to take an appeal. And within 24 hours of your release, I want you contacting Agent Fagan so that he can get you started on, or no, yeah, you're getting out today. So tomorrow, go see or call Agent Fagan to get started. Okay.
Sure.
You have any questions for me?
No, you're